we never left. This is the live roll talk. With you is me, Faisal Kassim, who is your host. We're going to be talking about many other things just as you like it. To kick us off in this new season of our live roll talk series, I'm joined by a special man, a great man, love at first sight. The moment we met, amazing in these great chambers. That was 2 years ago. It was amazing. And once again, we are back here at the Turkish embassy in Nairobi talking to the one great man, an attitude of a gentleman, His Excellency Ahmet Cemil Miroğlu. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
How
Thank you very much.
You well?
It's always great to have you here.
Amen. Amazing, amazing. And one of the things, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you, one of the things that I really like it here, the Turkish espresso. Oh my God, it's one of the best things in the world.
Turkish coffee, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So,
thank you. I hope I have a pack that I'm going to work
out. Belated
Eid
to all the viewers.
Inshallah. I have a pack that you're going to give it to me?
Yes,
coffee?
Thank you. More than happy.
Yeah, Your Excellency, Ahmed Cemil, we are here today, 15th of July, 2022.
Yes.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
A day like this, a night like this, we were not smiling.
No, it was a very stressful night for all the Turkish people, and I can share with you my eyewitness observations. I mean, first of all, it was a calm summer night. Usually in summertime, it's very quiet and there's not much happening in Turkey. But suddenly we start to hear the jets flying very low, and then there was some movements of tanks and all these things which are quite unusual.
No way.
And then we in Istanbul we saw from the news that the bridges were blocked by tanks, which was very, very unusual.
What time is this?
It was around 9:30 at night.
PM, okay.
Yes. So then everybody started to understand that there is something wrong going on. And that time our Prime Minister, was on the news, and he said that there is some members of the army and by disobeying the chain of command, they are trying to take over the government, and there is a kind of a coup attempt. So all the Turkish people were informed from this announcement, and then the real tragedy began. Because these people thought that it was very easy. People will be scared, will be staying at home.
This is in Istanbul.
Yeah, Istanbul and all around Turkey. And they start to these members of this terrorist group who were having uniforms. In fact, they are members of this group, but they infiltrated into army, and by using tanks, fighter jets, helicopters, they start to bomb and try to intimidate the Turkish people. Because they think that it was easy. I mean, people will be scared, and easily they will just take over the government, and they will. They move their tanks on the streets, and then at that moment, our president, he just go on live television, and he said that this is a coup attempt, and I invite all my citizens, all the Turkish people, in order to defend their democratic rights, I invite them to the streets. So this was the turning point.
What time was that when the president came on?
It was around 11:30 or something like that.
So they had 2 hours of working, because it started at around 9:30.
Then the real tragedy began, because people started to taking their flags, Turkish flags, and they were all over the streets. They don't have any, weapons. They were just standing just in front of the tanks and all these things. And then these people start to understand that it will not be very easy for them.
Wow.
So they used all the force, and I was just witnessing it, this fighter jets bombing the Turkish parliament. Can you imagine, can you imagine one night fighter jets bombing your parliament. So they bombed the presidential palace, and then they were shooting all the people who were standing across them, and they sent special squad to assassinate the president. All this happening in 2 hours. You know, I mean, one calm night, summer night, and then suddenly all these Turkish people just experiencing such a tragic experience. And then after that, of course, the rest is known. I mean, this didn't intimidate or scare people. On the opposite, this encouraged people, more and more and more people from all walks of life, go out to the streets and just resist and reclaim their democratic
Sounds
rights.
like a movie.
Yes, this I know it's very hard to imagine, but this was the summary of the night.
I'll tell you my experience about it, because on the 17th of July, we were actually making stories about it, and some people who were actually watching it live, because national broadcasters, CNN, Al Jazeera, among as many others, they were live. They were picking feeds from Turkish television stations. So when all this was happening, were you in Turkey at that time?
Yeah, I was in the capital city, Ankara.
You were in Ankara at that
Yeah,
time?
I experienced all. I mean, this bombings and all these things, because since Ankara is the capital,
Yeah.
the main target was the most of the state buildings. For example, police headquarters, parliament, president palace, presidential palace. These are the targets of the fighter jets. So in Istanbul and in Ankara, we felt the most effect of this terrorist attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the tanks were moving to the government facilities like the parliament, the president.
Police headquarters.
Whoa.
I know it was so tragic. I mean, for example, more than 50 police officers were killed by this attack. This attack by the fighter jets with the bombs. And also among these martyrs was one of the police officers who also served in our embassy.
In Nairobi.
In Nairobi, in our embassy.
Yeah, that's something that I heard. I mean, he flew from Nairobi to Turkey, and then the fateful night happened, and then he went forward to the front line.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was martyred.
Yes, he was martyred.
Inna lillahi, inna ilaihi raji'un. These people, the perpetrators of these heinous acts, you see, it's a terrorist organization that is well known.
Yeah, I mean, now I must say, after, of course, there were prosecutions, investigations, and trials, and all these yielded the result that Fethullah Gülen was the mastermind behind this coup attempt, and we call it FETÖ, Fethullah Gülen terrorist organization. The leadership planned, and it was executed by the members of this organization who were infiltrated into the Turkish army.
So it's something that didn't just wake up and started. They planned it.
So this is so we must go back to around 40 years ago. So this is not a new story for us. It was this organization. First, it's just 40 years ago portrayed itself as a charitable organization, mainly focused on business, education, so helping the poor. So it was, they portrayed a very different picture about themselves. So, but since Turkish people, most of Turkish people are, as you know, very, they like charity, they like donations, so they trusted and they donated to this organization, and they start to pick up their, financial gains, and then they open schools and all these things, and then they start to open schools abroad. So this become a huge economic giant. This was also, their messages were very, well received. They say, talking about tolerance, talking about harmony of religions and all these things. So very positive messages. And since they were also active abroad, on around maybe 160 countries. So they got the support from the government because nobody know about their real motives.
Yes, can
But
imagine.
after time passed in the 90s, beginning of 2000, they become more and more stronger because of these educational services abroad and their economic activities. Then most of the Turkish people start to realize that because they have some other motives, and which became
That's in the 90s.
90s and mid 2010 or something like that, 2012. Then they start to show their real motives.
true colors
They start to try to infiltrate into judiciary, army, other state institutions, and they start to be more and more aggressive on this. So then it's understood that they have some other kind of motives. They start to direct our some activities, threats towards our president, our government. So we understand that there is something wrong with them, but they become more and more aggressive.
And by this time, they have really grown. They have spread all over the world.
Incredible.
How many countries? 160 countries.
160 countries. They have schools, businesses, NGOs, and all these things. Can you imagine? It's billions and billions of dollars.
And you can imagine the manpower and the force behind them.
So they become reckless, and so what they want to do is they want to take over the government. So how you do it? By people who are just believes you are the next prophet, you are the imam of the universe. So this is a cult-like structure. So what they do is, the danger is like that. So their main focus is on children and young people. So they invest on them, and in their schools indoctrinate them. So and after that, with some exam scams and all these things, they start to place these people from very young age in very critical institutions. Then these young people, they become senior, and they become in very critical positions.
In the organizations, yeah.
So these people are then start to feel just loyal to this cult, not to the country, not to the government, not to the state, but so this is like a cancer. How can I say, the structure just start to take over all the state, from judiciary to the education, police, army, and all this. So, and if somebody trying to do something against them, they immediately eliminate them. Either they are killed, or some false evidence or something like that. They are tried and they were sentenced to imprisonment or something like that. So if anybody is in front of them, they are eliminated.
And at this time, they are still posing as this innocent NGO.
Yes, but then of course, then realized, and some action started to be taken. So when they understand that, okay, we cannot play like before, they understand that this is the end of the road. So they played their last card on 15th of July. So they decided that they must take over because otherwise the government will take some steps.
Because at that time,
it's their final, attack.
Okay.
So I tried to summarize, but as you can see, it's something building on for the 40 years or
40 years.
Yes.
I can imagine.
Yes, so maybe more. So this was it.
Wow. That's amazing. Ahmed, once we come back from the break, I'll tell you now the version of the story that I had. I remember one common phrase that came from Turkey from the 16th of July was actually, the minarets are our helmets.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yes.
The minarets are our helmets. That's a very common phrase that came from Turkey after the successful recovery of the sovereignty of the Turkish Republic. I mean, it's still a republic until today. It's a country that maintains its democracy and sovereignty thanks to the Turkish people. This and much more after the break.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Verse of the day.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إن الذين يرمون المحصنات الغافلات المؤمنات لعنوا في الدنيا والآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم يوم تشهد عليهم ألسنتهم وأيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يعملون يومئذ يوفيهم الله دينهم الحق ويعلمون أن الله هو الحق المبين.
قال تعالى في محكم تنزيله بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Ninasaha kutoka pwani.
هذا الدين قال الله قال الرسول قال الصحابة هم أولو العرفان. انتهى.
Ili kuongoza kwenye njia iliyonyoka.
Sikizeni hadithi hii ya Mtume alayhi salatu wasalam.
Hakuna atakayeweza kumfungia mtu mlango ambaye Mwenyezi Mungu aliyemfungulia.
Kuimarisha imani yako.
ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك.
Ungana na mashekh wetu kutoka pwani kwenye mimbar.
Mimbar zinamwakilisha Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Ni Jumamosi na wakati saa 3 usiku katika Horizon TV, runinga uipendayo. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks so much for keeping it live, Real Talk. Thank you so much for keeping it Horizon TV right here with Faisal Kassim. And we are hearing the story firsthand from someone who was in Ankara. So let me tell you, on the 16th of July, we had a meeting with a group of brothers, the breakfast meeting. And funny enough, I was the only one who didn't know what happened the previous night in that group. So guys were talking about it, like what the events, the fateful events when the Prime Minister came and made the announcement that our country is being attacked, and then it just got the attention of the international broadcasters, CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC, RTN, to mention but a few. So what happened after that is that, as you mentioned, you rightly put it, 2 hours later, the president came. and made the announcement. At that time, he was being attacked. So
Sorry?
he flew from the State House.
Yeah. He was out of the Ankara, the capital, but he immediately returned to Istanbul because everything was happening in Istanbul. So he was just a couple of hours later. There was an assassination attempt, but
courageous.
And then he took his plane with his close staff. They flew back to Istanbul just to show that I'm here.
And he made the announcement on a national broadcaster.
Yes. It was, it was just somebody, it was through cell phones. So, I mean, because these people who are members of this organization, as they were dressed like in uniforms, I cannot tell them officers.
So you couldn't tell that?
No. I can, but I don't want to tell them officers because I respect the Turkish army. So these are the men in uniform, I must say, because they just infiltrated into the army, and they are also, I mean, in that night they also attacked all the private television channels. So they tried to take over the broadcasting and all these things. And during that time, one of the programs, in a news program, the anchor lady called the president from her mobile.
Yes.
And from FaceTime, and show from FaceTime the president to the.
That is the national broadcasters, yeah?
Yeah, one of the national broadcasters. She called her from her mobile with FaceTime. So our president was online, and he gave his message through this phone. So then, of course, already the people were on the streets, but with this announcement, when they see that the president is alive and he's still in control, people are more encouraged and went out to the streets.
Just to slide into our next conversation is, immediately after that announcement, all of a sudden, all the mosques in Turkey started making adhan.
Salah. Yeah.
So they all started making adhan all of a sudden, until now. The correspondents, the international news correspondents are like, wait, it's no time for prayers. What's happening? And then before they know it, people flooded the streets.
Salah, it's when you announce something important, when somebody is dead, or when there's something is important. So it's still morning.
So to their understanding, they didn't know this. The only thing they know is that when they heard that voice, when they heard the calling, when they hear the calling, then it's time for prayer. But again, to their understanding, it was not time for prayer. But again, they just had
to give moral encouragement to the people, Turkish people.
And that's where the phrase came. The minarets are our helmets.
In fact, he recited this, our president recited it maybe 30 or 40 years ago when he was starting his political journey. But this was maybe the best picture or the best expression of what has happened. So it's really shows the real atmosphere in the country.
And the Turkish were so courageous, because if you watch from the videos, they were so courageous. They were walking literally with no body armors, no helmets, walking in front of the tankers and the guns.
Yeah. And
when these terrorists were on the streets with the guns, and the Turkish people were walking, holding hand by hand, side by side, walking straight to the guns and to the tanks.
Yes. And 251 brothers and sisters were martyred that night, and more than 2,000 people were wounded. So it was a very high price for defending our democracy. So it was, the interesting part is, I mean, the people on the street were not just the government supporters. There were the people from all walks of life, from all different political views, from, I mean, either maybe from opposition. It was not important. There was just one flag. It was Turkish flag. No party flag or nothing.
Interesting. Which is very good. And it just leads me to, you're preempting my next question. I don't know how many countries people would be that patriotic. People would actually walk on the streets when their country is under attack, especially when the government is attempted to be dethroned. In your opinion, being a government official, you have been a government official for quite a while now, what do you think led or maybe encouraged the citizens to be that patriotic?
Now, first of all, Turkish people are very sensitive about their liberty, their independence, and we fought our independence for 100 years ago. So it was we hardly owned and founded our republic.
Yeah.
So first of all, like this, and then we had our democracy. Yeah, there were sometimes, again, there were coups or something like that, but Turkish people fought for their democratic rights all on the course of the history. So that night it was just different. It was not seen as a coup against the government.
It was a coup against the country and the flag.
And it was an action against the democratic rights.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, it was not just the pro-government people. Everybody was on the streets.
Because I'm trying to imagine, look at what's happening currently in Sri Lanka. I mean, it's the people who are actually leading the demonstration until the president resigned and fled the country. Now the prime minister is currently holding the position of the leader of the government, of which still the office on the 14th of July was attacked as well. So he fled from the office. People are still here to find him. So I'm just trying to think, what is it that you give people? How is it that you run your government to make them that patriotic?
Because people know that, okay, there were also some opposition members also on the street from all political views, because they know that, okay, if there's the coup is successful, yes, the government will change, but there will be a system that they will not be able to vote again, vote their preferred candidates. So Turkey will lose maybe 20 years, 40 years because of that. So in order to defend all these things, our national unity, our democracy, so everybody were on the streets. They courageously stood before the tanks. I mean, I know, I'm sure you watched many, footage from that night.
I saw a couple, and the courage by the people, even those terrorists, they started shooting at the demonstrators, at those citizens, and they realized these people are not backing down. We are shooting, and they're still marching forward. And thus they started retreating, actually.
Yes. And
they started retreating.
Nobody can stand in front of the will of the people. Okay, so when they see that this was not supported by the Turkish people are against it. And so I can say that night, 15th of July, was a trial for Turkish state and Turkish democracy. And we are very happy that we passed this test successfully. And because of that, from that day, we start to celebrate our Democracy and National Unity Day on the 15th of July.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Because it was the victory of the power, victory of the Turkish people, Turkish people's power.
That's very inspiring, and thanks so much for that, sir. And we pray that you guys maintain your sovereignty, your democracy, and your peace through and through. So from that, what lessons do you pick from that as a government, as a Turkish people? What lessons did you pick from that?
No, of course. I mean, first of all, a sudden action was taken. So we understand that, as I mentioned, as a cancer cell, it was all infiltrated. This organization infiltrated into the Turkish state system. So the first thing is, immediately we tried to get rid of these people. First, we have to determine where are they, who are they, because it's a very closed cult-like structure, and they hid their identities very well. So first of all, we had to get rid of this
Their system.
yes,
then.
system.
Yeah.
So and after, of course, these prosecutions and investigations, I can say they're now they are not present in Turkey. But then we understand that, as I mentioned before, they have a huge presence abroad in 160 countries as businesses, schools, I mean NGOs, all these things. So we, right after that, we ask for assistance from the friendly governments that they should stop this this organization's activities.
Why would you do that? Someone would argue these people are not in your land anymore. They are not in Turkey anymore. You have your freedom, you have your sovereignty, you've managed to save your democracy. Why would you still follow them in foreign lands?
So this is a huge national security issue for us. I mean, their presence in foreign countries is because they still, what they do is they still generate huge sums of, financial accumulation from their activities, and they use this, money against our Turkish state and Turkish government. So first of all, we must make sure that their activities abroad is stopped. And the second thing is we have a moral responsibility, because we know this terrorist organization, we know what they have done, and we paid a very heavy price for it, and we don't want any other country to face the same challenges we face with them. So it's our moral responsibility to explain to the friendly governments and ask them to stop the activities of this organization.
Wow. And so far, how has it been, the operations to try and eradicate these people from those countries? So far, how's it been?
Now, first of all, I must also thank His Excellency President Kenyatta, because he was among the first world leaders who condemned this coup attempt in Turkey. We are in close contact with our Kenyan colleagues, and we explain them, and we have a very good, I must say, cooperation with them on this issue. But as I said, I mean, this is the most dangerous part of this organization is they hid themselves very well, and they portray themselves as innocent institutions. So, so what we do is we share our, evidence and all these things with our
the government.
Yes, government, and our presidents are in close, contact, and they have frequent exchange of views. So I'm sure the activities of this organization will be wiped out in the near future.
We call them wolf in a sheep's skin.
This is it. This is what is it.
Yeah, they're wolves, but again, they're hiding under the sheep's skin.
When you compare, even a wolf in a sheep's skin is very innocent. when you compare to them.
They're more dangerous than that.
Yes,
Oh my God. Allow us to take a very short break.
Thank you.
Then when we come back, let's discuss about Kenya and Turkey relations.
Yes.
I'm sad to announce that. Should I announce, or are you going to announce it yourself?
Yes. Now I'm in Turkish. We have a saying: every good thing has an end.
Oh my God.
So I must be leaving in a couple of months after 4.5 years. So also it will be very nice to just look back and the level of our relations.
They say, don't be sad that it has ended. Be happy, at least it happened. Anyway, right?
Thank you.
Exactly. So this and much more after the break.
HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
Uislamu ni dini yenye mpangilio ulio kamili na taratibu zake humpa fursa kila mja kuifahamu na kuelewa.
Muislamu yoyote lazima achukue jukumu la kuifahamu dini yake, kuanzia kwenye shahada, ashhadu, nakiri kwa moyo,
kisha usafi wa kimwili.
Hapo ndipo huanza safari ya kumwabudu Mola wake.
Usikose kujiunga nasi kila siku ya Jumamosi live kwenye kipindi Ufahamu Uislamu, ili ujifunze mengi usiyojua kutoka Horizon TV.
HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum. Thanks so much for keeping it live, Real Talk. Karibu Sana. We are still here to the third and our last segment, unfortunately, with my brother, an amazing guy, Ahmed. 4.5 years.
Yes.
Done.
Yes.
You're packing.
Yes. Unfortunately, but I must say I'm really proud that I have served in Nairobi. For me and for my family, Kenya will always have a very special place.
Why are you leaving though? Can you
So,
explain?
no, this is our
just make an application.
Our assignments have some limits, and I was assigned here for 4 years, and it's already 4.5 years. So I even got this extra 6 months. So even I deem myself very lucky. At least I got some 6 more months here. So I just want to thank our Kenyan brothers and sisters for just being so nice and being so hospitable to me and to my family. So we, even my members of my family were start to miss Kenya even in their last days here.
Oh my God! Even
So,
before they
yes,
started
yes,
meeting.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's awesome.
Yes.
In your time as the ambassador here in this country, I mean, we have seen tremendous improvements. We've seen tremendous Turkish presence in this country. We've seen the refurbishment of the Goreti High School. We've seen the you have furnished the library at Kibera Girls Secondary High School. You have equipped the media wing of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I mean, Turkish Cooperation and Development Agency has had a huge impact over the last 4 years. Over and above that, we've seen a cultural attaché placed in Kenya right now, like a religious attaché.
Yes, religious.
The religious attaché. Like all these things have been done. What's your biggest achievement in all this that has happened? What do you think? What do you feel like it has been your biggest achievement as the ambassador over the past 4 years?
I must say, I mean, there are many issues that I feel proud. I mean, I cannot just pick, but maybe in general, what I can put is like that. I mean, maybe Turkey has become more visible in Kenya. And maybe I can also say that Turkey has become a more strong partner with Kenya. And this growing partnership and cooperation in a steady way, I can maybe I can say this is the thing that which made me most proud. So because during my tenure we went through extraordinary times. For the last 2 years there were COVID, and nobody was expecting, and nearly all the world stopped. But when we look back during even the COVID times, our trade relations, our trade numbers continued to grow. And I see that maybe it was the numbers are doubled even in times of COVID.
Wow.
So this shows the strong foundation of our economic and trade foundation. So also the projects of TICA made me very proud. So these were important because through these projects I had the opportunity to travel all around Kenya. So I had a better view of Kenya. I've been to the north, to the coast, to the east, to the west, I mean to the central parts. So I had a glimpse of all parts of Kenya, and it was maybe the most important thing I can say. Through these projects, I was able to see that as Turkey, we will be able to touch the lives of ordinary Kenyan people.
Wow.
So this was, if I can say, these are the biggest and fondest memories when I see their smile on their faces.
Wow.
So I mean, we realized many also projects on agriculture, on health.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
for example, I still remember our health camp in Garissa. You know, I mean, many people lost their sight because of cataract, which is a very easily curable, I mean, disease. I mean, some old gentleman came. He thought he became blind. He will not see again. But very simple operation. He starts to see again.
Wow.
These are all the things. I mean, it makes us very proud. So these projects didn't just touch the lives of Kenyans, but also these projects build the bridges of friendship between our people. So this was important.
On religious lines, I've seen you have the religious attaché right now in Kenya. In the tenure of His Excellency Tayyip Erdoğan, we've seen Islam rising again in Turkey. We have seen it. I mean, it's experienced all over. Turkey is being positioned and being regarded as one of the Muslim countries right now. You know, and recently we've seen religious attaché being brought to Kenya. So what's the vision for this? What's the plan?
The first thing is, you know, we are very active in this humanitarian partnership with Kenya. So, of course, this is not just limited to Kurban or during, I mean, Ramadan. So we want to enlarge it and expand it throughout the year. And we just don't have TICA. There are many organizations, charity, NGOs. They are all around Kenya. But what we need is we need to coordinate them. And I want to say that this is, for example, these charity activities are not just limited to our Muslim brothers and sisters. We want to embrace all Kenyans who are going through very tough times, especially in this drought season. So one of his main responsibilities is, of course, to coordinate these activities. The second thing is, we know we receive many demands. For example, English Qurans from Turkey. So we also published in Turkey and we distributed here.
Wow.
Also, of course, as you mentioned, I mean, for the needs of the mosques and other things, and if hopefully one of his main projects is still working, is to have a Turkish mosque, a mosque that will symbolize the friendship of Turkey and Kenya.
Wow.
So he's working on it. He's very active.
Will you give us a replica of Hagia Sophia?
This is perfect. Yeah,
well, like a replica of Hagia Sophia, which honestly I cannot let you go without you telling us the story of Hagia Sophia, the masjid. In English, it's Hagia Sophia.
In Turkish, we call it Hagia Sophia.
Hagia Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah, in English, you call it Hagia Sophia.
Hagia Sophia in English. So, first of all, Hagia Sophia is the most extraordinary architectural masterpiece in the world. So it's a world heritage as a building, as a architectural structure. So it has a history of maybe thousands of years. So it served as a, church and many things. I mean, it went through many things.
It went through many phases.
Yeah, many phases. It faced also many earthquakes and all these things. But still now stands, and it's a world heritage.
Yes.
So it doesn't just belongs to Turkey. It belongs to the rest of the world. So we are aware of it. So when Fatih Sultan Mehmet, the Ottoman emperor, is called the conqueror. because he conquered Istanbul in 1453. So when he conquered Istanbul, and Istanbul became part of the Ottoman Empire and the capital, also he converted Hagia Sophia to a mosque. So 600 years or 700 years, around 700 years. So, and then this mosque became a part of his endowment, Fatih Sultan Mehmet endowment, and it was registered as a mosque. Okay. And then, of course, time has changed, and we have our republic and all these things. And in the 30s, by a decree from the Minister of
Culture and Heritage.
Yes, yeah. And they said that they converted into a museum. Okay.
Which year was that?
It was 1934.
1934.
34. But of course, according to our Endowment Act, this an endowment must be used as it is registered. Yeah. So it was 600 years ago, it was registered as a mosque. So there was maybe a legal issue about it. So one of the associations brought this to to the court and all these things of this legal procedures. Then and by again a decree by the state council. Then it's again in 2 years ago. It was again registered
to a mosque.
Yes, mosque. And I'm sure you follow it from the press and
I follow it from the press. My family were there the other day, like 3 weeks back. They were in Turkey. They visited the masjid, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And of course, as I said before, this is a very special structure. First of all, we must look at it like that, and it belongs to the human world. And we take a very good care of it. We have taken good care of it, and from now on, after now, it's again start to be used as a mosque, and we continue to look after it with with the utmost care.
When I visit Turkey, inshallah, I'll look for you either in Istanbul or Ankara, and then you'll take me there.
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah. How do you say goodbye to our Kenyan people?
In Turkish, we say Allah'a ısmarladık. So it means that may Allah take good care of you. So what I want to say is I spent fantastic 4.5 years. It was extraordinary. Although half of it was during COVID, even that time I really enjoyed here. And now I know that Kenya is approaching a very critical election. I must say, I think I know Kenyan people. They have this democratic maturity, and all this election process will be concluded in a very smooth manner. And we also pray for that, and I'm sure it will be like that. And after the election, we are whoever wins the election, who will be the victor, we are ready to elevate our relations to a new level.
Wow.
So as a Turkish government, I can say that we have this political will, and we'll wait, and then we are looking forward to bringing our relations to a new height. So thank you very much.
Ahmed, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. How again do you say it in Turkey?
Allah'a ısmarladık.
Allah'a ısmarladık. Thank you so much. Well, guys, you had it right from the horse's mouth. You've had the events, the sequence of events on that fateful night. And the biggest lesson is always be careful. No matter how good or how generous someone will be, there's an aspect of being careful. Just be careful. You never know their intentions, right? The Turkish people, they didn't know the intentions of this terrorist organization until on that fateful night is when the true colors revealed. Over and above that, always make dua. Always ask Allah to protect you. Always ask Allah to guide you. Always ask Allah to show you. And of course, their intentions will be revealed. From us, right here at the Turkish embassy, I don't think I have much. I'm sad, I'm about to cry because my friend is going. But we're going to make this few months that he's going to be here, or a few weeks that he's going to be here, we're going to make it memorable, inshallah. Nonetheless, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Keep it Horizon TV. Thank you so much for making it for us.